Welcome to the LynnCAM TV Show, a show which focuses on local organizations and municipalities in and around the city of Lynn. Here with me today to talk about HAWC, Anthony DePietro. We also have Nikki Whitaker and Rosa Torres. Guys, thanks for being here today. So HAWC is an organization that has been put in place to help abused women, children, and men as well. Now, there has been some recent transition. As we know, HAWC, a lot of people have the understanding that it's helping abused women and children, and it's not the case. It's actually healing abuse and working for change nowadays. Anthony, let's learn a little bit about you. You're the executive director over there at HAWC. Tell me a little bit about yourself and your background.
Sure. I came to work for HAWC as the executive director just 6 months ago. The organization is 35 years old, was founded in the late 70s by community members who were concerned about domestic violence and wanted to do something. And I'm from Providence, Rhode Island, where I did a lot of nonviolence work in my background, working for organizations that mostly did gang violence prevention and youth urban violence. In Providence, there's a heavy gang population, so we focused on that. But it was great to come up here and work for another organization that really makes an impact in the community through, helping people change and improve their own lives and, choose a different path. So that's what we try to focus on at HAWC. Our mission is about social change and on the big picture societal level, as well as for individuals who want to lead a more nonviolent life and a safer life.
How long have you been working in the nonviolent sector?
About 5 years. I put in to that work down in Providence before I came up here. Yeah.
Now, Nikki, you're the program director. You focus on the North Shore. Tell me a little bit about the areas that you cover and what your responsibilities are.
I oversee the direct service staff and their coordinators and the 6 locations that we have based in Lynn, Salem, our shelter program, Gloucester, and Beverly.
Okay. Very good. Now, Rosa, you work in Lynn specifically. You're a coordinator over there. Tell us a little bit about what you do. What's your day-to-day like?
That is correct. I'm the Lynn office coordinator. We have 4 advocates. They're also bilingual. 40% of the clients that do come in are out of our office in the Lynn site. We're the busiest office. I can say that out of HAWC. We also have the Parent-Child Trauma Recovery Program, which focuses on the protective parent and the child that has witnessed abuse in their home. The program is a 12-week program, and we're in collaboration with Lynn Community Health Center. Okay.
Now, that's an outstanding number. 40% of the people who are helped by HAWC come through the Lynn office. I know HAWC because of the walk. I never knew that there was 25 years behind the organization. I always thought that it was for abused women and children, and that's really not the case. It's not just women and children. There are men who go through situations as well. So 40%, that's a high number. Your day must be chock full of appointments, dealing with clientele. You had said that you have a new program in place. Can you go into more detail on that?
Absolutely. It's the Parent-Child Trauma Recovery Program. It's in collaboration with Lynn Community Health Center. It is a 12-week program. It is for the protective parent and the child that has witnessed domestic abuse in their home. The advocate works with the family, and the advocate meets with a clinician at that first meeting. The children are not allowed in that first meeting, because obviously they're discussing, the conversations that are being talked about. It is being sometimes graphic. Sometimes they have the parents draw, depending if there's a language barrier. This is why also we just opened up in Lynn Community Health Center in collaborations with them, because there was a language barrier. Now we are working with clinicians that are actually bilingual that can provide services for our clients here in Lynn.
Interesting. Now, we've got the brochure up on the screen right now. I think it would be an appropriate time to talk about HAWC in general. Anthony, we'll let you take this one. Tell us about the organization, its focus, some of those things that you want to kind of get out into the public today.
Sure. Well, as you said, we changed our name. That was about 5 years ago, and it was in recognition of a couple of things. One is that we don't just serve women and children or women with children. We serve any survivors of domestic violence. So that may be women, children, or other immediate family members. it may be men, it may be people who don't identify as a woman or a man, and we wanted to bring that awareness. And as well, with the new name, Healing Abuse Working for Change, we wanted to recognize that the impact of domestic violence is much more than that one home or one family or one person. It goes out into the community.
Oh, yeah.
You know, if you think about, for example, what it takes for a child to learn and be healthy, the trauma that they're exposed to in their home, they bring with them to school, and now they can't get an education and they can't get opportunities in life, you know.
Yeah.
And it affects the businesses, it affects, it's affected by housing and affects housing and you know, where people can live and can't live and be safe. So it has a huge reach, and we were trying to recognize that when we changed our name.
Well, I think that you guys are doing a fantastic job, and I mean, the walk absolutely is a huge part of what you guys do. It's in Salem every year. We'll come back to that and we'll learn a little bit more about it. But you had mentioned that's interesting. You know, it is important for our viewership at home to know that this is about domestic abuse. It's a situation that's prevalent in everybody's lives. Whether it's not directly, you're dealing with somebody who's dealing with domestic abuse in some shape, way, form, or another. And having kids around that has to just create just an amazing sense of like just worry for them, whether or not they're doing it right, whether or not, you know, if they witness violence, maybe that's something that they become accustomed and they believe that it's okay. And at a level when they're just an adolescent, it's a little easier to correct it. But once you get to that adulthood, people are usually set in their ways. They say you can't change people, and I believe that that is true in a sense. What we believe is right and what we believe is wrong is a lot different on everybody's personal scale. So that must be something that you guys are doing, whether or not you notice it, is you're helping keep domestic violence down just by going to the source. So I commend you there. Let's talk a little bit about the walk in general. It's in Salem, all right? I believe it's in May this year.
Yep.
All right.
First Sunday in May. It's the 22nd year that we've been doing it. It started in the early 90s. It's the biggest fundraiser that HAWC has throughout the year. We bring over 1,000 people out to the Salem Common. We raise, our goal this year is to raise $140,000, and we've done more than that sometimes in years past, which is a good sizable percent of our budget. It's less than 10%, but almost 10% of our budget. So, and what's great about the funds that we raise through the walk is it allows us to put the money wherever the need is greatest, whatever program needs the funding that year in our organization. So for example, this year, one of the big needs that we see is for clients to have legal representation, and there's not always funding for that. So we're trying to patch that program together through doing partnerships with attorneys who will do reduced rates, or they may get paid to supervise a panel of pro bono attorneys. And that's a need, again, that's also specific to our Lynn office, because many of our clients have immigration needs that they can use help with.
Okay. Now, the walk in general, I know it draws a lot. I went there, I did one walk in high school because of a friend who had gone through some domestic violence. Now, it was interesting to see the morale there. Everybody's very positive, and they're very excited about seeing this type of change happen. I'm not sure if you have any like specifics or numbers, but I mean, like, how many people do you guys usually draw on an annual basis?
To the walk?
Yes.
We have 1,000, 1,200, 1,500 sometimes, yeah. And it's a very hopeful event. It'll be my first one, but from what I understand, you know, it's a very hopeful feel, and a great show of the community coming together around an important issue.
Okay. Now, let's talk to you, Nikki, right now. You're in charge of most of the North Shore area. Wouldn't say like every single city or town that's considered North Shore, but the big ones, Beverly, Salem,
Right.
Lynn. You're responsible for training and keeping your staff up to date in regards to protocol, procedure. What are some of the things that you train your staff to do when they first come in to HAWC? What are some of the things that they should be expecting?
Well, when you first come into our agency, we have a mandatory 45-hour training, and we break it up because we not only see ourselves as a domestic violence agency, but a really social justice agency. So we have the volunteer skills of like active listening and preparing people for the hotline, but it's also how you can be an active member in the community and help with social justice.
Okay. Now, the parent-child trauma recovery program. Tell me a little bit about when it started and what kind of impact you're seeing at this point in time right now.
Okay. The Parent-Child Trauma Recovery Program, it's in Lynn, it's been 2 years now that it started. There was a huge wait list at the beginning of the program because we did not have funds to hire the clinicians. At that time, right now we have 6 clinicians on board. They're all bilingual, which is nice. In the past, we had to, our English-speaking families would have to go to our Salem site because we're also in collaborations with North Shore Medical Center. The director of the program is Peg Tiberio. And like I've said before, it is a 12-week program.
So you mentioned bilingual. I know that there are a plethora of different cultures here in Lynn, which means that we have a plethora of different languages as well. So bilingual, sometimes, well, nowadays, I know in Lynn, doesn't really get it out. Are you guys making any strides to like work with Khmer and different languages that we have present here?
Not at the moment. Bilingual, we're mostly concentrating right now Spanish. Speaking clinicians. Some of the clinicians do speak Portuguese and Brazilian, which is not their, I guess, second language, but they have the basic understanding of it. So it's helpful for our clients that come in to have somebody speak that language.
Good stuff. Anthony, let's talk a little bit more about HAWC as an organization as a whole. I think it's important to recognize that it's not just about abused women and children, actually so much so that you changed the name of the organization, and it really is about domestic violence. Can you tell us any like success stories about some of the impacts that you've heard out there that are attributed to HAWC and what it's done for people?
Well, I know you asked about what kind of impact too that we're seeing with the Parent-Child Trauma Recovery Program.
Yes.
And that's probably the program that we've studied the most, what's its impact been with the clients. And it actually has been shown to reduce, especially for the children, the trauma symptoms that they experience and the length of time they experience those trauma symptoms, which might be, you know, nightmares or just night terrors, things like that. So it also focuses on healing the relationship between the parent and the child now that they've left an abusive situation so that they can move on and be a healthy family unit. And so that program's actually been, you know, rigorously evaluated and has shown some really good impact. But in terms of specific individual clients, probably Nikki or Rosa could share stories because they work directly one-on-one.
Sure. What about you? What do you got, Nikki?
Well, I think success is different and it's case by case, depending on what clients come in with. But we do have the opportunity, especially more so with our shelter program, to see a family from start to finish.
Nice.
Because it's long term. We're a 6-month emergency shelter, and we have extended due to outside circumstances that we, if we can't move a family on due to housing shortages. So once they've come in and received various services, we will help with legal support, the parent-child trauma recovery, anything dealing with probate or custody issues. And we've connected them with a therapist, so it's an ongoing process. From the minute that they get in the door and continue after that they leave, and then we continue to work on housing with them for permanent placement, hopefully within their communities without having them to move out and start over.
There's a lot to it. It's not just getting them out. It's really kind of the legality of it all. Has to be a huge part, especially when you come down to like custody. That's when it probably gets really tricky. Getting them out of the situation and helping them recognize, hey, you're in an abusive relationship or you're experiencing domestic violence is one thing, but putting them back on the path, I mean, that's an amazing task. And we're going to talk more about that when we come back. Right now, we're going to take a quick break. We've got HAWC with us, so stay tuned for some more fun stuff here right on the LynnCAM TV Show. Welcome back to the LynnCAM TV Show. I'm Sean Donahue. Here with me today, Anthony DiPietro, Rosa, and Nikki as well. You guys are from HAWC. We're here to talk about your organization as a whole, some of the upcoming events, as well as the programs that you have. If you're just joining us, we've talked about HAWC in general. Its name changed about 5 years ago. It was helping abused women and children. Now the focus is more on domestic violence. It's healing abuse and working for change. The walk is coming up in May. A lot of big stuff for you guys. This is a huge time for you during the year. Now, we talked with Anthony. Anthony, you're the executive director. Rosa, you're the coordinator over here in Lynn. Nikki, you're basically the program director throughout the North Shore. So each of you play a huge role. For the viewers at home, one thing that we had talked about was the outreach here in Lynn. 40% of the people who are helped through HAWC are helped right here in the city of Lynn, Massachusetts. And they've got some programs in place that are helping people to take the right steps to get out of domestic abuse. We've talked so far about the Parent-Child Trauma Recovery program, which I think is an outstanding part of it. Recognizing the steps that these guys have to take in order to get out of a domestic abuse situation is very important. It's not just getting out, but it's moving forward and making change for the better. We had mentioned during the break that we have a high-risk team program. So again, high-risk team, as in team. Tell me a little bit about that.
That is a monthly meeting that we have in collaborations at Lynn Police Department. The DA's office is present there, correction facility. DCF is also there. And the process is the advocates working with a client, depending. We go by the high-risk indicators. We have 15 high-risk indicators during our intake. If more than half of those indicators are listed, we would refer to the high-risk team. Well, then we would present the case as the advocate.
I think a big part of what you do is recognizing this type of stuff and being proactive. You can't just sit in your office and just wait for people to come across the threshold. It's really going out there, engaging the people, talking to them, going to places where domestic abuse is at a higher rate than it may be in other parts of Lynn. So I think that the programs itself is a huge part of any organization. When we have other municipalities and agencies here on LynnCAM TV Show, a lot of people are at a loss for words. How am I going to explain this? There's so much to it. And I say stick to the programs. So I think the two programs that you guys have going on at Lynn are a big, big part of why you guys are doing things so well. Anthony, you're the executive director over at HAWC. Do you have any continuous improvements, any of these programs that are coming up that we should be on the lookout for?
Well, we're actually in a strategic planning process now where we're looking out to the next 5 years and saying what would help us serve our clients the best. And we have a laundry list of 10 or 12 programs that we're looking at that would supplement what we already have and provide additional services for our clients. When Rosa was talking about high-risk clients, what that really is about is when it's identified that this is a high-risk case, meaning this could be going towards a homicide, we try to wrap extra services around that individual to make sure that we know where they are. The police can do well-being checks, and we monitor the court case so that if the abuser is going to be going to jail or whatever, that's something that will increase the safety in the situation. So it's we're always looking for different services we can wrap around the client, whether they're high risk or not.
Any of these other services that are on the table right now, more appealing, worth mentionable right here?
Well, it's tough because you have to see if you can match up a great idea with funding. So one of the big focuses right now, you've seen nationally, is that the White House put out this report on sexual assault on college campuses. So, and the federal offices are putting money behind it too. So the colleges are all looking at what are their programs and are they compliant with Title IX the way they need to be, letting their students know about what their rights are if they are stalked or sexually assaulted or experience other kind of domestic violence on campus. So the schools are all looking internally at their policies, and federal offices are putting out money for innovative programs that might help. And we have colleges on the North Shore that we partner with. So that's an example where the funding might match up with a need that we can serve.
Funding has to be a huge part of what you guys do over there. Other than the walk, how are some other ways that you raise funds for your cause?
Well, we're about 45% state and federally funded, and then we have to raise the other 55%, which is no small task. We do that through a lot of grant writing to corporations and foundations. We throw events like the Walk for Hawk in May, which is the biggest one. We have 2 other major events that we have throughout the year. One is a Domestic Violence Awareness Month breakfast in October. And we also just had in March our 3rd large fundraiser, which is the Salem annual Irish Breakfast and Political Roast. That's got a little bit different flavor to it because all the politicians come, and it's a festive event. And so those are 3 major fundraisers. We have outside people who raise funds for us. Like for many years, this organization called the Nets Climb, which was named in honor of a victim who was a victim of a homicide, has been raising money for us through climbing a mountain and doing, so another athletic type of event, and they would raise $15,000 for us every year. So we've got a lot of different people in the community who want to help us and help us raise money.
So it's not all domestic abuse. There is a sort of level of fun that you bring to the table, and that's really kind of generate a budget for what you guys do. I think one of the most important things is to recognize is that, I bet a lot of people who go through a domestic abuse aren't expecting it. It's not really something that like we're prepped for or we're ready for. It's like, hey, remember, you could be in an abusive relationship and this is what you should do. So people don't know what their rights are. They don't know what the limitations are. They don't know how to deal with litigation-wise. So there have to be some steps that you guys put into place. Nikki, maybe you can take this one. When a person first comes in, obviously it's identifying the situation. And then you must have more steps in order to push them through and get them through this. I mean, what would you say are your main focus areas?
Well, when they first come in, it's usually through the hotline. So that is the beginning of a screening process. So we're looking at those indicators. We're looking at high-risk indicators. And then you would be referred to one of the offices that are closest to you to provide an intake. And that, again, is a further screening process to see what areas, because for each client, it will be different, the needs. I mean, someone with a child or without a child will have 2 very different steps to take.
Right.
So it's connecting with the right resources. If it's possibly an emergency situation, they'll go into shelter or will look for shelter. It could be starting with a restraining order or starting with custody if there's marriage involved, and then it's stabilizing after that. So it depends on what the situation is.
HAWC, Healing Abuse, Working for Change. We've got about 2.5 minutes left for the show. I want to reserve that for the walk. Anthony, I'm sure you could take a lot of this. You're the executive director over there at HAWC. A big part of your day is spent networking, making sure that people know about what you guys got going on. Up on the TV right now, we have a flyer for the walk. This is held in Salem. How can people get involved? What can they do?
Yeah, well, I know we have dozens of teams signed up already, which is really easy to do through our website. And it's an easy way to get your kind of friends, neighbors, or church group involved. Everybody contributes a little bit, and whether you're going to walk or you'll just, sponsor your friend who's walking, and then the teams get competitive with one another in terms of who can raise the most money and bring the most spirit, and they may bring T-shirts or whatever. Although we do give out HAWC T-shirts to everybody who walks or runs in the event. And the day of, we have a lot of festive events planned for entertainment and family-friendly things like face painting for kids, temporary tattoos. We have a drum leader who will kind of teach rhythms, and singers who are coming, and even a belly dancing group actually that's going to do a performance. Yeah,
that'll be fun.
Yeah,
you can sign me up. I belly dance all day. So that's the Walk for HAWC. That's May 4th, Sunday. What time does it start?
The run is at 9 a.m. and the walk will be at noon.
Okay, great. So 9 a.m. and noon. You can go onto the websites and find some more information. That's it from the LynnCAM TV show. Here, guys, again, I want to thank you for being on. I wish you the best of luck. Keep up the great work. It means a lot to Lynn and the community. Outstanding stuff. From the studio here at LynnCAM TV, I'm Sean Donahue, wishing you all the best.
I'm Nathaniel. You're watching LynnCAM TV. Thanks for tuning in.
Perfect, buddy. Heck yeah!